Hi everyone, this is Lucas Brathwaite for SS15 Sports Stories. You might have heard of me from the social media. This is my first actual podcast, and I'm joined by John Okafor, uni rugby player, soon to be bigger than that, hopefully in the Premiership one day. So here's John. Hi John, you all right?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. So first of all, just tell us a bit about you, what you're doing, what you've been up to, and what your aspirations are, and about your rugby.
Thank you, Lucas. Let's start with my rugby. So I started playing rugby when I was around 14, 15. I get picked up by the junior academy at Harlequins. Do that all the way up until I'm 18. I ended up getting a scholarship to Wellington College when I was 16. And I was there for 2 years. So I did my A-levels there. And at the end of those 2 years, I was fortunate enough to be offered a professional contract to join the senior academy for a year. Ups and downs. They started off really, really good. First couple of months, do my pre-season, make my first team debut in November, and things are really, really looking in a good place. Then when I was there, I did tore my knee ligament, and I was out for 4 months in total. And in that time period when I was out, I found out I was getting a contract renewal. So I was subsequently released. And basically I made the choice that I'm going to try my hand at Bucks Super Rugby. I think at this time it was the second year. And the second year of Bucks Super Rugby. And I said, you know what, let me get a degree. I backed myself that if I'm good enough, I should be able to go back to the Premiership.
Yeah.
So it was more of a case of let's get a degree, be in a situation where I'm going to play every week, every Wednesday, play 80 minutes non-stop, which I've been fortunate enough here at Leeds Beckett, and hopefully return to the Premiership at the end of this year, sign a contract, and Prem soon come. And Prem soon come, and I'll have the chance to hopefully play for England one day, which is the ultimate goal. That's where I aspire to be.
How were you 18 when you came to uni then?
So when I came to uni, I came when I was 19. So I spent a year at Harlequins full time before I got released.
Right. Okay.
So I came at 19.
And you said you started playing rugby when you was 14 or 15?
Yeah.
So from the jump, was it like, okay, cool, rugby is what I want to do, you know, I want to take that path? Or was it kind of a slow burner? Like, did you just get into it and kind of pick it up as it went along?
So it's a weird one because I played 5 sports. Like rugby was my 5th sport. I've always been a sports guy.
Okay, yeah.
So I played football, basketball. I played basketball for England 16. So I played football, basketball, tennis, athletics. So rugby was the last sport I played. So I've all played those sports at really good level. Like I've been at county competitions at tennis. I've represented England in basketball. I was in academies when I was playing kick and ball. So I've always been an active individual.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was playing for the school football team at my secondary school, and the school just started doing rugby because the PE coach was a massive rugby fan. So when the PE coach come now, one Irish guy, Mr. Henry, won't forget him. And now big him up. I think he's in Ireland now. Like, I need to shout him. So he's come now and he said, John, you're playing rugby now. And I was like, what? Rugby? My parents were hot. They couldn't believe it. They wouldn't let me go. I'll come now. First game comes. It was like one Tuesday morning. I was like to my teacher, like, look, man, I want to play, but my parents won't let me play. Call my dad, PE teacher, says, your son's really good. He's got talent. Like, let him play. So dad was like, all right, cool. Anyways, I didn't have my boots now.
Oh man.
I didn't have my boots, innit? And I was like a size 10 at the time, 14. Luckily, PE teacher had a pair of size 10, one old school Adidas Classico 1995 boot.
Yeah.
Classico, one of them ones there. Give it to me. And that was really it. Scored in my first game. And that was really it.
And from there, were you just like, rugby is the one for me? Like,
then literally,
yeah.
It was at the time, it was just rugby, basketball.
Yeah.
Then when I joined the Harlequins Academy again, from there, that's where it took off.
Okay. And then since then, that's just been you, like tunnel vision rugby.
Yeah, man. I made a lot of sacrifices because of rugby. Man.
Whereabouts is, so what's your heritage? Where are your parents from? Because you said that they weren't really keen on you playing rugby at the start.
Yeah, so my parents are Nigerian, so that's not a thing, man.
Yeah.
Books. You're in your books, you're studying.
Okay.
If you're lucky, you kick ball or do music. That is it. You don't do anything else. That's if you're lucky. You got small talent. You kick ball, you do music. Other than that, that's really the pathway.
You're studying.
Lawyer, doctor, banker.
Yeah. So how do they support it now though? Like now that you started playing and you're doing well and you've been to like higher levels and
yeah, man. My parents are invested. Like my dad's really invested. You know, he's spoken to my agent and making sure like I'm not getting screwed over. He wants to make sure I go to a good club when I leave uni. They came to varsity my first year, so they're in it. They're in it, and they're backing me. And obviously, when they're seeing me progress through the ranks and doing this, and getting like when I was 18, I got invited to England 18 camps and stuff. So when they were starting to see
that you were doing well in it, they realized you was good.
Talent,
and
they were backing it.
So just a quick question on race. Obviously nowadays you start to see a lot more like black people playing rugby or ethnic minorities, especially in England, playing rugby. Do you think when you was in school, like did you go to your first school, your primary school, was it a state school or private school?
So my secondary school was a state school. Then when I was in like sixth form, or upper and lower sixth, that was a private school. So I saw the big differences.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that were like, when I was at school, I went to a state school and I played rugby. I know I got no rugby at my school. And then but in private schools, they tend to play a lot more rugby and stuff. But nowadays, like I was saying, you were seeing more ethnic minorities being represented in the Premiership and stuff like that. Obviously, there's still some areas lacking, but did you ever experience any differences, like when you were coming through the ranks and starting to play a bit more rugby, or not really?
I think the differences for rugby, like racially, I think for me, it's not like out and out racism.
No, of course not.
Like we gotta remember what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not cold-hearted racism, but rugby definitely has a race issue because they definitely tend to pigeonhole players like into certain positions.
Yeah.
Just naturally, I'll use the NFL for example. It's not really until the last 3-4 years you start seeing black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So you look at rugby has got the same issue where I've never seen a black 10.
No, yeah.
Like
there's not many. There's
like,
Paolo Odogwu.
Yeah.
He did an interview of, I think it was Rugby Pass, and there's not a single black scrum half in the Premiership.
Yeah.
And I've got an interview with Floyd Steadman. Have you heard of Floyd Steadman?
Yeah.
He used to play for Saracens, and since he played for Saracens in the 1980s, 1990s, there hasn't been a single black scrum half in the Premiership since then. He's the only one. So it just kind of shows that we're a bit underrepresented, and
Exactly. Exactly that. Because with the whole race thing now, for me, it's definitely a case of they put in players into certain positions. So like wing, proper lock. But like any positions where
the powerful
where
the powerful positions, not necessarily the game changing like tactical positions.
Yeah, I think it's the funny old saying, like a lot of black and ethnically minority players get praised on pace and power all the time. I get P&P, that's all I've been known, pace and power. You're a big guy, you got pace, you got power. But I've never been credited. I think I can count a handful of times I'd be credited in terms of, oh, you're actually a really smart rugby player.
Yeah.
You understand this. And, it's only because of like my position. I'm like, I tell people I call the lineouts. Like, oh yeah, do this. So you're got a proper rugby brain. And like, of course, like I'm invested in this sport.
Yeah.
the same way you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of pace and power chat, and it is stemmed in racism. Let's not.
It's kind of like it goes down like stereotypes and not being educated in these certain things that
Exactly.
everyone's capable of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's another thing that Floyd said. He was speaking about it, and he said that it's not really that people were being directly racist. It's more that they just don't associate, because you don't see these things. You don't see many, like you said, you don't see many black tens. You don't see many black scrum halves. So you don't associate black players with those positions. And then when that happens, it's like a vicious cycle. It goes round and round and round. And you just keep, like you said, pigeonholing people. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the path that it's ended up going down. But it's good to see that like people like you progressing through, even though you picked up at a younger age, I mean, a bit of older age, 14, 15, you're still progressing through the ranks and representing people. And then there's going to be people after you that are going to look at you and go, I want to be like John when I play rugby, because I can see a black man in that position. I've never played him before. Or in a sport I've never played him before, like you said, your Nigerian parents and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever been back to Nigeria to play rugby or anything like that?
No, I've never been back. I feel over here we do like Nigerian exiles, and you look at it, and there's just so many Nigerian players playing here in diaspora, and you look at Maro, he's Nigerian. Annie Watson's got Nigerian heritage.
Yeah.
Couple players at Wasp with Nigerian heritage. Saracens have a load of Nigerian. Like we're littered. We're all over the place, and we're playing at very, very high levels. Where if push came to shove, we put a 15 together. You're looking at it like, oh, that's actually quite a good team. Actually, that team, can do bits,
definitely,
sort of thing. So it's there. It's more of a case of the right infrastructure and institutions need to be put in place to get the game out there. Because I feel like if rugby is one of them sports that it needs to grow, it needs to expand, and it needs to be given the opportunity to grow in new regions. Because
definitely
one of the best things about rugby, which few sports offer, is that there's a place for all body types, all shapes, all sizes, quick players, slow players, tall players, short players. You're all on the same team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you take for football, for example, there's one shape, one generic, everyone's roughly
you might
around
get the
the
odd
same
outlier,
team.
but most of them are.
Yeah, you get one or two outliers, but they all consistently look the same physically.
Yeah.
But you look at rugby, I'm 6'6", and I'm on the same pitch of a man who's 5'8".
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Exactly. Do you think it's ever something you'd want to do? Go back to Nigeria and kind of take it over there, or just, be around and play rugby around there? Or
something, as I've got, when I was younger, it was never something I was ever really conscious about.
Yeah.
However, now I'm becoming more aware of myself, my heritage, who I am.
Yeah.
I'd love to do something like that. I'd love to go back, create something, and create some sort of, the right institutions, right funding, right infrastructure, create a sort of pathway for lads to come over and come to Europe, for example.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, that's going into like the Prem, or what it's going to take decades of work.
Yeah,
but playing in a good league in Europe
and getting some exposure to the sport as well.
Playing in France, Spain do have a competitive league, Germany have a competitive league, and create something where you can make a decent career and like create a nice national side, like a good competitive national side that maybe one day in my lifetime Nigeria will go to a World Cup. Yeah,
that would be amazing. Can you see, like, do you feel like rugby, obviously you're quite involved in like the industry side of things now as well, with your, like, you've got your following and stuff with Rugby Pass as well. Can you see like the sport kind of changing and growing into that, like how you just put it to me, like it's kind of growing outside of the generic European countries, going to face like Spain, and there's people coming over from other countries and playing? Can you see it kind of growing in that way?
For me, rugby has a lot of work to get to those sort of levels. you know, rugby and NFL have a lot of parallels. And I look at like the NFL, and they get it really, they've got it right in terms of it's a sport played in one country, but millions of people outside it are invested.
Yeah.
Like millions, like I'm invested in NFL, but I will never play American football ever in my life. You know, and I'll go and I'll watch the game and stuff, and you know, they come over here and play, and they play games. So rugby needs to look at it like the marketing model the NFL taking, and say you have to accept rugby is not football.
No, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Football is its own beast.
Yeah, definitely.
And football just markets itself because it's football. Rugby needs to say, okay, what can we do better to create a game that is better for all people, all races, genders, body types, whatever, and like stuff like so this is gonna sound real controversial, but sometimes I feel like rugby's values hamper its marketability. Stuff like some people don't want to wear ones, you know. Some people don't want to wear chino shirt and tie
Yeah, I
and brown
understand what you
shoes.
mean.
Like that's uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
And they don't like it. You know, some people be comfortable in a nice little trackie or want to wear a little drip or something.
Yeah.
That's their personality.
Something different, yeah.
Something different, but
And the personality can't really come out in the culture you get. I guess it kind of depends where you are. Like if you was playing rugby, like I know in the Caribbean, if you're playing rugby in the Caribbean, it's probably going to be different. But over here, you have that culture of dress very smart after the game, and everyone does the same thing, and it's
everyone does the same thing
and type of thing. Yeah.
You know, the culture in like the big rugby nations, France. I can't speak for France, but like here in Britain, is very like it's very stifling. If you're trying to grow it in urban communities, or you're gonna try to grow it in like continental Africa, it's a hard thing to sell over there because it's just not the same.
It's just different, yeah.
It's different. Like
there's the sport and then there's the culture behind it type of thing, and
exactly.
it depends.
And then,
I understand what you mean.
And the culture behind the sport is very stifling. Like I always think about it like something like NFL players have their names on the back of their shirt.
Yeah.
Have your name on the back of a shirt. Just if you see a player that's playing well or you like, you can see their name, boom, boom, Instagram follow, you're following them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Football does it, NFL does it, basketball does it, and I never really understood why rugby hasn't caught on to that, because it just means the players just become a bit more personal and relatable.
Yeah. And without it, it's almost they're just a player on the pitch, and you watch the game, and then it's done.
That's it, and you go,
Yeah. Just the last question from me on sport as a whole. Would you say that, like the person you are now, you've obviously come through a lot of stages in rugby, but also you've been through a lot of sports. Would you say that sport is something that defines you, or would you say that you get these traits of going through stages and kind of persevering from other situations, or would you say that sport is the one that kind of?
I think neither of them are mutually exclusive. I think going through life has like made me resilient in sport, and sport has made me resilient in life. They work hand in hand.
Yeah.
But definitely with all the sports I've done, and especially like the level I've gone with rugby, and I'm aiming to go, like you learn like you learn sacrifices. You sacrifice a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, like because I was like so focused on my rugby, it cost me my first relationship and stuff, because like I was like, I don't want to go out, I don't want to party, I need to stay, sort of thing. So
you're dedicated to the.
I'm dedicated, and it's hard for some people to understand why you're like that, tunnel focused.
Yeah.
And you got to persevere through it, and you know the grind don't stop, as the cliche goes.
Yeah.
And resilience, you know, injuries, like getting released at 19 was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
man. Heartbreaking.
I can imagine.
I was a 19-year-old kid, man. Barely out of school. I'm injured. I'm in a knee brace. I'm getting released, and mentally, that month, 2 months where I didn't know if I was going to be able to get something. You know, credit to my agent, he managed to get me a scholarship up here, and it's gone really, really well. My time in Leeds, and hopefully I'll be able to kick on and move up to play at a higher level. But like you learn about yourself. There are a lot of dark days, man, and you know your mental health takes toll, man. Because
but you have to persevere through it, though, don't you? Like you just have to push through it. Yeah.
You just gotta remember why you're doing it, because you don't want your sacrifices to be in vain. You know, it's quite literally blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with a sport like rugby, where you're getting bashed around all the time.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
But it's good to hear that you're just, sticking to it, and hopefully, like you said, one day you'll be in the Premiership, the end of this season, maybe coming seasons, and it'll be worth it. It'll be worth all of the hard work and the dedication. But thank you for coming on, though. It's been interesting. I think people can take a lot from it. Like they'll obviously your story is different to a lot of other rugby players. A lot of other rugby players have come through a private school background, and their parents probably pushed them into it rather than the other way around. So it'll be good to see you representing the people that are coming from a similar situation, who want to get there and kind of haven't got the role model at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So credit to you for that.
No, love, man. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to do my thing the best way, man. You know, you can only just be you at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You can't live another person's movie. You just have to be you.
Definitely, I like that one. Can't live another person's movie.
Yeah, you
can't. A good one. Well, thank you for coming on, though.
Thank you, man.
Everyone, it's been Lucas and John Okafor. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a good listen. Give us some reviews on Twitter and on Instagram. And we'll be back next week with another SS15. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Cheers.